Happy afternoon, ma'am.
Happy afternoon, Satnam.
Welcome on the JNS show episode 1. We are so glad to have you as a part of our guest of the first episode, and we'll be releasing this episode on the November of 26th, which is your birthday. And we were so proud of doing this.
It's my pleasure to be the first guest on this podcast. I really appreciate this entirely student led initiative, and I'm looking forward to seeing many episodes of this podcast.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask a variety of questions ranging from hypothetical questions to conversations that about world events. So we'll start with the hypothetical questions first. So if you were to change one element of education in India, what would that be and why?
I am very clear about this that I would stop education from being exam oriented and focus on the learning and the understanding part.
Okay.
I think we do a very good job of it in the initial years, the foundational and the preparatory years. But as students move into the higher grades, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, everything becomes geared towards, that one board exam, that one entrance exam, and the pure joy of learning is just taken away. So I do hope that this is something that happens soon.
Okay. Talking about exams, it's the exam season coming up. We have the board exams, all the entrance exams are lined up. Is there any one particular tip that you want to give to students who are preparing for all of these exams?
I think that's very simple. Be calm.
Okay.
If you have that sense of mental balance, if you are calm, then all the hard work and everything that the effort that you have put in will be available for you at the point that you want it. But if we allow the stress and the pressure to get to us, we may not get the kind of results that we want. So it's very important to use a mix of strategies to stay calm. It could be meditation, it could simply be spending some time with friends, doing some light physical activities before the exams to be in the right mental space.
Yeah. Also, talking about education, where did you get your education from?
I'm a Mumbai girl in that sense. I've spent all my formative years there. I did all my school as well as university education there, and I must say that the city has had a big part in shaping who I am.
Okay.
Maybe at this point of my life I may not appreciate the fast-paced life there, but growing up I think the advantages that the city of Mumbai gave me, it made me stronger, it made me independent. From a very young age I learned to travel by public transport, to interact with a variety of people, face crowds, challenges that maybe in a smaller town I may not have had those kind of opportunities. So I am extremely thankful to my formative years in that city.
Okay.
So Mumbai is truly Meri Jaan.
Yeah, you're right. So in terms of education, when we talk about education, it's just 10th and 12th. Education in India is solely focused on your 10th result and your 12th result. And if you're a science student, then your JEE rank or your NEET rank. What do you think, how will that mindset change in India and schools be more focused towards co-curriculars and activities and just stuff other than pure academics?
I think that shift is happening, thankfully. A lot of the progressive schools have already been on that path. The new education policy 2020 also envisages a holistic educational approach, and the focus is moving away from just knowledge to actually application of those skills and concepts that you have learned. You are in grade 12 now. You may have seen the difference in the kind of question papers that you are solving now as compared to your ICSE exam.
Yes.
So a lot of the questions, especially the MCQs, are focused towards testing whether you have actually understood the crux of the concept, or have you simply memorized it and you are just putting it down. That one shift, I think, is going to help a lot.
Okay.
Also, I feel that the varied opportunities that youngsters have today,
Yeah.
uh, that is another thing that, of course, there is a lot of demand for software engineers or doctors or lawyers, but there are a number of other careers as well that I see now young students aspire to be. In classrooms, there are children who tell me, I want to become a chef, I would like to be a journalist, somebody aspires to be a sports person, there are musicians in the making.
Yeah.
Maybe a few years ago, these things would not have been possible, but since these opportunities are now available, exposure is there, and I think the home and the school both are trying to make this possible. So education is moving away from being exam oriented towards gearing to the whole personality of a child. It's still a process. I think we are still in the initial stages,
Okay.
but I am hopeful that in the next few years things will change.
In 2024, especially after the lockdown, we've seen a lot of students, almost double than what it was before, going to abroad for their studies. What are your thoughts on going abroad for studies, as in how is college life different in India than in abroad, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of both of the different aspects?
I think it's a matter of perspective. It is a matter of what your specific requirement is, what you want from your life, what you want from your career. So there is no right or wrong about either aspiring to go abroad or studying in India. I think here it's very clear that it is an individual choice. The advantage that you get maybe when you go abroad is that with reference to college admissions, your entire portfolio of activities, including your achievements in sports, in extracurricular activities, in community service, is also taken into consideration,
Okay.
which a majority of the Indian universities are not doing. I
Yeah.
think there are a few progressive private universities that are looking at these. So that is, I think, one major difference that I see while applying to colleges either abroad or in India.
Yeah.
And of course, I think when children go abroad, it makes them much more independent. But that may also happen if they choose to study away from home in another city.
Yes. Talking about different colleges in India, the top colleges currently in the science field might be the IITs or the AIMS, and for business students they might be the IIMs, but they still don't rank, even in the top 100 in the world rank. What do you think is the underlying reason behind it, and students really work hard to get into the IITs and the IIMs? I have friends who are, managing school with their 8-hour coaching classes, with their homeworks, with their, practicals and journals, and still they might fail to get into IITs. And then there are students who are managing their whole curriculum along with extra co-curriculars, but they still don't manage to get into IIMs. What do you think about that?
That, unfortunately, Satnam, is the sad truth of what is happening right now. We have immense talent in this country. Like you said, there is no paucity of dedication, commitment, and hard work. But the level of competition is so high that, in spite of putting in your best, you may not get to these very aspirational colleges. Coming to the first part of your question as to why they are not ranked amongst the top universities, I think again this is purely what I feel. There could be other reasons, I could be wrong as well, but I feel again that our stress is more on being exam oriented, we are not research oriented as much.
Okay.
So we focus on knowledge and not so much the application. We need to give greater emphasis to skills like creativity and collaboration across our educational system, whether it is in school or in universities.
Yeah.
I think that is one major difference currently that I feel, and that is the reason why more universities are not ranked amongst the top 100.
Okay. Shifting the topic a bit to our school. Our school is situated in GIFT City, which is a very, very prestigious area of Gujarat right now. Not even Gujarat, India. But 10 years, 9 years from now, when GIFT City was just a piece of land and with a few corporate buildings, how did our trustees, our forefathers, get the drive to establish a school in most probably one of the most underdeveloped areas of GIFT City, while it was so far both from Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar? What was the underlying motivation behind it?
I think one, we have to say that our management is extremely visionary.
Yeah.
So, whether it is the schools that we have in Mumbai or the school in GIFT City, they look far into the future, and I think they saw the potential in this place.
Okay.
Of course, I think they bought into the vision of the then Chief Minister, Sri Narendra Modi, and they realized the potential that this place had. Jamnabai Nursery School, GIFT City, was the first building to get an occupational certificate.
Yeah.
So, we were the pioneers, so to speak. Today we have, multinationals from across the globe. You have technology giants from the country as well, setting up shop in GIFT City.
Yeah.
We have IBM, we have Bank of America, there is Google, I believe Infosys, Wipro. A lot of prestigious corporates are putting up their offices here.
Okay.
So GIFT City is really booming right now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the school along with GIFT City will also progress much further.
Yeah. How many years have you been into education in general?
More than 25 years.
Is there a student that you remember in the last 25 years that really stuck with you, or something that they said? One student, if you were to, select from the others.
It would be very difficult for me to talk about one student, because I think you learn so much from every batch of students.
Okay.
And also I see that over the last, more than 25 years, there has been a change in the students also. So while previously I think, students required much more guidance and mentorship, nowadays I find that, students have exposure to so much, and there is a lot that even when we talk about career counseling or guidance or the opportunities that are available, a number of times, our students in the high school are able to tell us so much.
Yeah.
So, one student, if you ask me to point out, I think, it's a very difficult question.
Okay.
But in general, I think, we are always learning from the children.
Yeah.
The sense of curiosity, the lack of fear, maybe willing to explore, go further.
Yeah.
These are qualities that I admire immensely in the younger generation, and of course how tech savvy you are. I think that was also seen in the way you did the whole setup for this podcast.
Yes.
It really impressed me immensely.
Okay. Also, talking about admiration in general, is there any one personality in the field of education that you really admire?
Again, I think there are many people. If I had to start, I think, I would start with maybe, people like Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore. Be the change you wish to see in the world.
Yeah.
Is something that resonates with me very strongly. uh, Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore's vision of, education outside of the classrooms.
Yeah.
Again is something that I would like to take much further.
Okay.
If I come to people who are in the field of education now, there are a large number of individuals who are trying out a lot of new things. But there are two people in Gujarat who have inspired me a lot.
Okay.
One is Mr. Kiran Balodia, who is the founder, the trustee, the principal. He wears many hats of the S.N. Kansagra School in Rajkot.
Okay.
So, extremely visionary. He has created a world-class school in the city of Rajkot.
Okay.
Secondly, in the city of Ahmedabad is Ms. Kiran Sethi, who runs the Riverside School.
Yeah.
A very innovative, creative, kind of concept where the focus is on practical, experiential learning.
Yeah.
But closer home, I think for me, my mentor overall, as well as in this school, is Mrs. Josephine Vaz, who was the principal at Jamnabai Narsi School, Mumbai. And after that, she was the senior advisor who has been my friend, philosopher, and guide in my 8-year journey at this school.
Okay.
Her thirst for new learning, even at the age of 80, I think she keeps updated with everything that is happening. Her energy, her enthusiasm, her ability to look at the finer details and the bigger picture inspire me.
Okay. Shifting the focus from the teachers to the students. Ma'am, nowadays the students, as you said, are very exposed to a lot of things. Let that be social media, let that be extra knowledge, current affairs, everything. We see a lot of students that slip down bad ways while coping up stress for not just exams, but since teenage is a very sensitive age, there are a lot of problems that a kid might face that can range from bullying to not having friends or feeling bad in their own group, and students generally slip up to bad habits or bad company. What do you think about, it's the role of the teachers and the parents to identify if a student is not in that correct state of mind and pull them out from there?
I agree with what you are saying, Satnam. That unfortunately is the flip side of the times that we live in.
Okay.
That I think the connectivity that was there in the earlier days, where they say it takes a village to bring up a child.
Yeah.
That village has now condensed to a small nuclear family, where a lot of the times both parents are working. Even if one of the parents is at home, there are a lot of additional responsibilities. So a number of times the child may not have enough adult role models or support systems to turn to.
Yeah.
So it is, anyways, it's always difficult being a teenager. It's a
Roller
trying,
coaster.
challenging phase of life. And to grow up in this kind of an environment with the pressures of the virtual world, there is so much of social media expectations to look a certain way, to behave a certain way, to eat in certain places, to holiday somewhere. I think everybody is just wanting to, put that on their social media. We don't even enjoy experiences now because we are so busy documenting that. Oh, I need to put it on my social media.
Yeah.
So, like you rightly said, it is the responsibility of the teachers along with the parents to be sensitive to the phases that children are going through. Like you said, to be able to identify, what kind of struggle somebody is in. I think just lending a ear or a shoulder to cry on will also help the youngsters a lot.
Continuing on this only, It's a very cliche question, but what do you think is the correct age for a parent to give exposure to phones and laptops to their children? I was part of the COVID batch, so we were given this exposure very early on. That was maybe seventh grade, if I'm not wrong. So we were given our phones and our laptops and our tablets very, very early on. And since at that time, in school, before that, in school, we were with our friends all the time, and suddenly it was just in the four walls of your room. So now we had to text our friends all the time. We had to, send them photos, go on video calls together. So, what do you think is the correct time to give a child a phone or a laptop or a tablet?
See, I think we have to be practical about this scenario because today's generation, you all are digital natives.
Correct.
We are the digital migrants.
Correct.
Because at some later stage in our lives, we were introduced to phones, to laptops, to tablets. But for most of you, I don't think you can remember a time when you didn't have these devices around you.
Correct.
So I think children are always going to have these with them, but as parents and teachers, what we need to do is instead of keeping these devices away from students, we have to create awareness about the correct usage of a phone or a laptop when you have access to the internet. That is the solution is not to not give a phone,
Yeah.
because you are going to require that phone or that laptop for a variety of purposes.
Correct.
So essentially I think giving you the skills to be able to come to the correct judgment as to what is the reasonable time to use it, how it has to be used, how to protect yourself against the various dangers that lie out there. I think that is a task that we all have.
Very beautifully said. Continuing on the same mental health topic, what do you think about therapy? And there are schools in India, outside of India, that have adapted student therapy in their courses. Every student has to meet a therapist or a counselor, in school counselor, say every month, and they keep a check of their students' overall mental and health well-being. What are your thoughts on that?
Mental health, I think, is a topic that people are talking about more and more. It is still considered to be a taboo because people don't want to share their mental health struggles. And I think all of us at different points in our lives will go through ups and downs. We will have issues related to mental health. So it's a very good idea to seek help. I think the concept that you spoke about of having trained therapists sounds very good to me. In a country like India, it may not always be practical. We may not have so many trained therapists.
Yeah.
But what is important is to realize that if the help is available,
Yeah.
we must seek it. We must, not look at it as something that, oh, there is something wrong. That is why I am going to a therapist.
Yeah.
So it's about, I think, sorting out things in your mind. And in schools, I think that is why counselors play a very important role. And a lot of the times, it's not necessarily just trained counselors. Even your teachers, I think, to a large degree, are like counselors for you all.
Correct.
The kind of relationship and bond that you share with teachers. So I'm sure that maybe there could be things that you are not able to share with somebody, but there is one particular teacher with whom you feel comfortable, you share, and
Correct.
that could sort out the issue.
Taking the overall conversation of the podcast a bit lighter, what does an average day in your life look like?
I'm not sure whether there's an average day because when you work in a school, you don't know what's going to happen, what every day is going to bring. So
Yeah.
that's the beauty of my job, that there are no average days.
So like a regular day that might look
Yeah,
like.
my day in school begins at about 8:30, but it would, I'm an early riser, I have to, because there's no other way out.
Yeah.
So I get up at about 5:30, and I strongly believe that, fit body is extremely essential. So for me, yoga is the way. Daily practice of yoga is, I think, something that helps me keep my energy up.
Okay.
So day in school begins at about 8:30 till maybe about 5:30, where it's a mix of a lot of things,
Yeah.
administrative, academic,
Annual day.
co-curricular, extracurricular. There's the annual concert going on, so there's this whole buzz in the school right now. Next month it will be sports day. Sports day will be followed by board exams, then school exams, then the new year begins. So there's a different flavor every month, but the
Yeah.
best part is that we are surrounded by um, young people from 3 to 17.
Yeah.
So that whole spectrum, you get different inputs from them. From the little ones, it is unconditional love, affection, a lot
Happiness.
of hugs every day,
Yeah.
varied perspectives and views from the older students. So a lot of learning happens in that sense also. So I'm truly blessed that I can honestly say that I have no average day.
Yeah.
I have interesting, exciting, stressful days every day.
What do you do apart from your work? What do you love apart from your work? Your hobbies or your talents? Anything that's apart from being a principal?
I am extremely fond of reading.
Okay.
I love to read. I'm very fond of fiction.
Okay.
So I love thrillers. I love crime stories.
Okay.
So I will always, at any point of time, have a book with me.
Okay.
I'm a recent convert to audiobooks and podcasts as well.
Okay.
So that is something. If I have a book with me, a physical one, or even an audiobook, I am extremely happy. I'm also fond of gardening. So
Okay.
I have a lot of plants at home that I like to take care of.
Okay.
So over and above school, I think these are the two interests that keep me energized. And like I said, I do yoga on a daily basis.
Okay.
So that helps me, because I come from a family of people who are extremely fitness oriented.
Okay.
My husband and my two daughters, they are all marathon runners.
Okay.
So I have to keep up with them.
Any three picks for our readers
Picks for what?
for books in general? Any three interesting reads?
Okay. My favorite books are the Harry
Yeah.
Potter series.
That's
I'm sure that everybody's read them.
that's how I got into reading.
Yes. So, if as a child they captivated you, as an adult they transported me to a totally different world.
Yeah.
I read each of the 7 books, I don't know how many times.
Same here.
And I have heard the audio versions as well. I watched the movies, but while I enjoyed the movies, it doesn't compare to the.
I'm still waiting for my Hogwarts letter.
All the best for that. I think you passed that age, but Satnam, so maybe a little difficult. So that is one thing. Recently, I also read this very interesting book called The Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
So this is a non-fiction book. It's a very popular book.
So self-help.
Yes,
Category.
it's a self-help category book, but something that is very doable to incorporate into your daily lives.
Correct.
I am also a big fan of the 7 Habits.
Yeah.
So, that's a book that has been around for a very long time.
Correct.
I love the Agatha Christie books.
Okay.
Wonderful crime stories. I'm a huge P.G. Wodehouse fan.
Okay.
They are the funniest possible books. I'm not sure if the younger generation relates to these authors, because maybe the pace is a little slower.
Okay.
But I also enjoy J.K. Rowling in her other avatar as Robert Galbraith. So the Cormoran Strike books, which are again detective crime fiction.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey Archer is another one of my favorite authors. I love the way he spins his tales.
Yes.
Extremely interesting reads. And I know you asked me for 3, and
That's an average book, mom.
yes, but Malcolm Gladwell as well.
Okay.
His book, especially if you look at the outliers, I've recently been reading Blink and How to Talk to Strangers.
Okay.
And I find that very, very interesting.
Okay. As we come to the last section of our podcast, are there any 3 immediate tips or things to incorporate in their life of students that comes up on your mind when I say 10th and 12th board students? This is specifically for my friends who don't sleep till 1 or 2, and they immediately get dressed at 7, 10 and board 12 hours. I am a very big believer in you need a 8 to 9 hours sleep. If I don't get my 8 to 9 hours sleep, I will not be able to function. So I'm a very big believer in that. But seeing all my friends currently, since the exams are near, they're all pulling all nighters and not sleeping well. So anything you have to say about tips to board examination students or entrance examination students?
You hit the nail on the head, I think, Satnam, when you spoke about the importance of getting sufficient sleep. In an exam, you need your brain to work.
Correct.
I'm a biology teacher, so your brain is made up of neurons, and your neurons need to fire. They need to connect with each other for you to be able to perform in the exam.
Correct.
So for that to happen, you need to be rested.
Yeah.
If you pull, like you said, pull an all-nighter.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a fashionable term for
yes,
studying.
So I learned that phrase now.
Yeah.
If you do that, your brain is going to be lethargic. It's going to take time for it to gather the information that you want. So
Correct.
while you feel that you are doing something productive towards your goal, you are actually pulling yourself back when you don't get enough sleep.
Correct.
So maybe 9 hours is not very realistic, but at least 7 hours of sleep is essential to be refreshed and in the frame of mind. You don't want to be, I've seen children fall asleep during exams because they are so exhausted and they just go blank.
Correct.
One reason is that. Secondly, a balanced diet.
That's a very big problem right now.
Extremely important. You may be eating. You say, okay, I'm eating. But what you are eating is also important.
Correct.
Are you eating enough fresh fruits and vegetables? Are you having nuts? Are you, having food which is lighter to digest as compared to, junk food which is going to take a lot of time to digest. So your body is using its resources to digest that junk.
Correct.
You get a sugar spike.
Yeah.
And then down.
Just to add to that, since nowadays junk food has become so accessible, so we have Blinkit, you have Zepto, you have Zomato, you have Swiggy. You can get anything you want in 10 minutes, any amount of junk food. You can have your pizzas and your burgers. And I believe that good food, that is your fruits, that's your homemade food, that has become less accessible nowadays. That's why students are more inclined towards, they crave sugars and they crave that junk food while they're studying and preparing for an exam.
Couldn't agree with you more, Satnam. I think what we need to do is, we need to be able to read the labels on those packets that you are eating.
Correct.
So it's not just, you say, oh, this is just, these are potato chips. But it's not just the oil. Look at the amount of sodium that is going into your body.
Correct.
sugar in its various forms. They will not write sugar. There will be different forms of sugars that are, on those packets. They are full of preservatives, stabilizers. All these have a negative impact. So if you have something that is homemade, and I think it's a very important life skill to be able to learn to cook a small, quick meal for oneself.
Correct.
You should not be dependent on your mother or your father or your cook to give you that quick snack.
Correct.
You could have some whole wheat bread, you could have it with peanut butter, you could have a few nuts. If you are a non-vegetarian, maybe you could have an egg or something like that.
Correct.
If you just roast a few makhanas.
Yeah.
These are just, and like you said, fresh fruits.
Yeah.
If you have some extra rotis from lunch, you could make a wrap with something.
Correct.
So I think every student should be able to put together a healthy snack that can give you a quick energy boost. And while your parents will always be there to help you, but maybe in the middle of the night, if you feel it's not a good idea to be dependent on somebody to give it to you. So
Correct.
let's do that and be healthier, get that energy and perform better.
You're 100% right. Any more tips that you want to give our students for excelling in their exams?
I think, like I said, don't get stressed.
Yeah.
Stress is our biggest enemy.
Yeah.
We don't realize, but stress has an impact on us physically. It increases your heart rate, your breathing rate, your ability to think. So, you remember when you had your ICSE exams, we always do meditation session before. Sometimes you can just sing together, just gossip with your friends. It could be anything.
Correct.
I always encourage students not to talk about the content for the exam.
Correct.
And one thing I always tell them is that, see, if this glass of water is full, by the time you reach there, it's full. What are you doing? You are just pouring more water into this glass. So where is that water going?
It's flowing out.
It's flowing out. Your brain is stretched to its capacity.
Yeah.
So at that last minute, if you are doing it, you are just disturbing the arrangement of things in your brain. You
Okay.
just need to enter the examination hall in a positive frame of mind with a stomach that is full of nutritious food with your bottle of water. And I think you are set. Have a planned routine. There are
Yeah.
2 months essentially now,
Yeah.
December and January.
Correct.
Use this time well. Seek help to organize your study schedule.
Yeah. Ma'am, this conversation was very, very fruitful. I got to know a side of you that was not shown before. You've been very approachable since the beginning of when I joined. I think you joined at the same time. I joined in 2017.
2017.
Yeah, that was my 5th grade. And you've been very approachable. As a principal, it's very hard to be approachable all the time. Generally, the image of a principal is of, sitting in the office and very, strict type of person. But what I've noticed is you're very approachable and you're friendly. And then I also studied for, say, 2 months in your class when I was in grade 10. And you had a very McGonagall type of personality if you're able to.
That is the ultimate compliment, Satnam. You made my day.
Yeah, so you had that knack of keeping your class very, very quiet. But when you wanted to discuss about a lot of things, we would do that in a very controlled environment. So, with that note, I'd bring the podcast to the end. And I would like to thank you so very much. And I would like to thank the team also who has helped me throughout and, motivated me and just doing everything by their own even when I was a bit busy. So thank you so much, and yeah, that we'll end on this note.
I must say that I enjoyed being a part of this podcast. I must reiterate that I am very impressed with how organized and systematic the 4 of you were.
Yeah.
So best wishes not just for your upcoming exams but for everything that you do in life. Keep this fire burning
Yeah.
It will take you far.
Thank you so much.